Look, it seems that with everything else going on in politics, Queensland has managed to escape the critical spotlight that should be turned on our northern state. There is no upper house in Queensland. It was abolished in 1922. This week, the Queensland Government announced a commission of inquiry into DNA testing at the state-run forensics laboratory. Now, it mightn't sound much, but bear with me, it sure as hell is. For months, the Queensland Government has been under all sorts of attack from the media and a much improved Christopherly opposition about potential DNA testing failures. The issue is what are called DNA testing thresholds. In a submission to the Women's Safety and Justice Task Force, the Queensland Police Service said it had requested additional testing on 47 samples relating to sex offences, which the testing lab initially said didn't have enough DNA for further proceeding. Well, here's the rub. Police are now re-examining all sexual assault cases dating back to 2018, which were initially deemed not to have enough DNA evidence for further processing. Now, DNA testing, as you know, is a crucial element in the criminal justice system. The argument is that not all DNA samples were being fully tested due to a testing threshold. The police argue that results may have been possible through additional testing. The forensic biologist, Dr. Kirsty Wright, who ran the National Criminal Investigation DNA database, has labelled what's been going on as the biggest forensic disaster. She said, and I quote, "There is nothing anywhere in the world that is like this. And in terms of the scale, how many years have these issues gone on for?" She further said, "We are talking about potentially false acquittals, wrongful convictions, and really serious and violent offenders not being apprehended when they should have been and maybe having the opportunity to offend again." She said a full inquiry is needed to understand what has been happening inside the lab, for how long it's been happening, and what is needed to fix it. Unquote. Now, there may be criminals out there who were found not guilty because their DNA didn't meet some testing threshold. Now, under Queensland's double jeopardy provision, a person who's been charged with a serious criminal offence and is acquitted by a jury can be charged a second time if new evidence emerges that was not available to prosecutors at the time. This could well cause the reopening of many cases, and if mistakes have been made, then the government could be liable if those mistakes meant that innocent people had suffered psychiatric injury because of them. Well, that's not all. Earlier this year, the Queensland Premier was forced to appoint Tony Fitzgerald, who headed a previous infamous corruption inquiry in Queensland 35 years ago, to sort out the mess of the Crime and Corruption Commission. Who knows what's going on, except that it has a rank smell about it. There is a Queensland Integrity Commissioner, Nicola Stepanoff. Her resignation as Integrity Commissioner contains sinister allegations of interference in her role. She'd been cracking down on Queensland's lobbyist sector, including a widespread failure to declare meetings or the attendees at meetings with ministers and government officials as required by law. An audit of the lobbyist register for the 2021 financial year alone found more than 100 breaches. Individual lobbyists were put on notice. One of the main offenders, according to Dr. Stepanoff, was an unnamed former political advisor